Jeff Dunham Relative Disaster is a Netflix original comedy special that was released on September 12th. And for those who don't know, Jeff Dunham is a comedian ventriloquist. He's got a series of ventriloquist dummies that he uses in his shows. He's pretty good, and he does cover a lot of topics and a wide variety of ventriloquist dummies. He's been around for a while. He has a lot of specials. This one is his latest. It was shot this year, 2017, and it was shot in Ireland. Because as he explains in the special, he did one of those DNA lineage things and determined that a lot of his DNA comes from Ireland. So he decided to do a special there. And he also, in this special, he premieres one of his latest ventriloquist dummies, which was pretty funny, but we'll get to that. It was in the middle of the show. So he starts out with a little skit where his puppets get in a car and they drive, and apparently they drove to Ireland. So it was just a quick little 2-minute skit at the beginning of the show. So it didn't take up a lot of time. It wasn't necessarily funny, but it was okay. And then he starts the show with Walter, who is one of his more, I guess he would be one of his main, I'll just call them puppets. It's one of his main puppets. He uses it a lot. Walter is a grumpy old man, and he does the typical grumpy old man things. Like he's pretty racist and prejudiced. He talks a lot about Trump and the elections. One of the big running jokes throughout the special is all the different puppets making fun of Jeff Dunham for having kids with his wife now, who is 19 years younger than him. So they're all making fun of him for that because he also has kids from a previous marriage who are now in college. So that's a running gag that he makes fun of himself a lot throughout the show. One of the things with Walter, though, is because Jeff Dunham is adopted, they throughout that bit they imply that Walter might be his dad. So that part is pretty funny. In the very beginning, there were a few pretty obvious old man jokes that didn't really, they weren't very original, and you can see them coming. But after that, it got going pretty good. Walter's always pretty funny. The whole grumpy old man thing is pretty entertaining and fun to watch. And then he goes into like a little video where they show how Walter might have been Jeff Dunham's dad, which was not that funny. It was actually, but it wasn't very long, so it went by quick. Not too much of a waste of time, but still not very funny. Then he introduces his new character, and that is Seamus the Irish baby. The only part that I really didn't like about the special was the way he introduced the new character, because it sounded like he was talking about real life when he started talking about how Irish babies need to be adopted and how he used to be adopted, so he thought it was important to adopt a baby. And then it turns out that he adopted nothing. It's just a new character for his show. So that part was a little annoying to me because, like he goes on about his personal life and how important adoption is to him, and it just leads into a new character. So it was misleading, and adoption is important. So to bring it up as a punchline like that is, I don't know, just hit me in the wrong place. But that was the only real part that bothered me throughout the special. Baby Seamus was the puppet, and he was pretty funny. He was drunk, which, some people could definitely be offended by. That's not something that Jeff Dunham shies away from. He uses stereotypes with his puppets a lot, especially with Ahmed, the terrorist, who comes up later. But yeah, with this, it's pretty funny. They do it. He does a good job. It's a new character. He's got the Irish accent. It is a baby, so there is a lot of jokes about women's breasts and how hungry he gets when he sees them, things like that, and especially about being drunk all the time because his mom gave him away and things like that. So I'm not giving it justice. It was pretty funny. Next, he goes to Bubba J. For those who don't know, Bubba J is like a redneck character. He's also a drunk, but he was talking actually how baby Seamus could drink him under the table, so that was funny. And he has there's a lot of quick wit back and forth about misunderstanding words and phrases between him and Jeff Dunham. It's pretty well done. The actual ventriloquism part of his set, he gets the voices and all that, but it's so obvious. Like he it's almost like he's just talking. Like there's no real. There are some places where there's no illusion that he's not the one making the voices. His lips are moving all the time, things like that. But the voices and throwing his voice are really good, especially. He often goes back to Walter, who's still in the trunk, to make him laugh. And it does sound like it's coming from a trunk. And later on, he does with one of his other dummies, part where he's talking into the mic and he gets too close to the mic, so there's feedback, but the dummy does it. So it looks pretty good the way he does it. But you can see, if you pay attention, the trick he uses to make it do that. But other than that, the camera is always focusing on the puppet, so most of the time you don't usually see Jeff Dunham, which is good because it would break the illusion quite a bit. And then he goes into Ahmed. Ahmed, the world's favorite terrorist, is how he gets introduced, and he's pretty funny. There's a few characters that don't show up, but Ahmed does, and they talk a lot about the 72 virgins and how he got through customs and things like that. He did get a big round of applause from the audience there. He's a pretty famous character of Jeff Dunham's. He does the "I kill you" line, and it's always pretty funny. Although, sometimes he runs it into the ground. In this case, he kind of does a little bit. But overall, it's a funny bit with Ahmed. It usually is. And then he brings out Peanut, who's like this really weird kind of Muppet character that he does. I think it was one of his first puppets that he uses, but he's really funny. He rags on Jeff Dunham a lot for having the kids at his age and how old he's going to be when they're going to college and things like that. There's a lot of jokes along those lines. That's pretty much his whole bit. Peanut's a pretty weird character, and he gets a lot of laughs just from being weird. So overall, it was a good set. There was a lot of funny characters. He does a lot of different voices, different accents, different mannerisms, and different interactions with the puppets. So it's really well done. It is funny. If you've seen his specials before, you know what I mean. The new character, Seamus, is good. He doesn't bring out a couple of characters. There's like I said before, he's not too afraid to offend people with his stereotypes. There's a Mexican character that he has, and there's an African American character that he has, and those he didn't bring out during this special. So I'm guessing he just didn't have time, because it was a little over an hour. I believe it was an hour and 10 minutes. And he was introducing a new character with Seamus the Irish Baby. So overall, it was a good show. I did laugh quite a bit. There's lots of good jokes. So for Netflix, I'll give it a thumbs up, because it is a thumbs down, thumbs up system. And for a rating out of 10 for a Netflix original comedy special, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It is pretty funny. probably would have got higher if I didn't see his mouth move so much, and if he introduced baby Seamus a little better and didn't try and make people believe he was adopting a real baby instead of introducing a new character. I think he could have done a much better job of introducing Seamus. But overall, it is a good special. So that's Jeff Dunham Relative Disaster, and it's available on Netflix. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, or all of the above. Thank you, and have a nice day.